Welcome to Sports Broadcasting. This is a college football Week 5 review. Yesterday we had some pretty big games, including top ranked versus ranked games. But we'll start with College Game Day. Ohio State and Nebraska. What are your thoughts on that? Not as anticipated to be a close game, but blowout as you might know.
Number 5, Ohio State came into Lincoln, Nebraska on College Game Day and trounced on the Cornhuskers. It was a 48-7 victory for the Buckeyes, and they answered a lot of questions coming into this game. Some of them were last season and seasons before with Urban Meyer. They struggled with road games that they were supposed to win. There was always pretty much every year a game that they're supposed to win on the road in Big Ten play that they always end up losing. They choke in big games. That's what they're known for. But in this game against Nebraska, they came in with their strongest game of the season so far, 48-7 win over a decent Nebraska team. Now this Nebraska team falls to 1-4. And Justin Fields went 15 for 21, had a monster day through the air, 3 touchdowns, 212 yards, and put himself back in the Heisman race. For Nebraska, Adrian Martinez did not have such a good game. He only completed 8 passes for 47 yards and 3 interceptions. He didn't play as well as people would have liked. But J.K. Dobbins balled out on the road. 24 carries, 177 yards. That's a monster game. And if Ohio State keeps up this kind of play against big-time teams, I think they're a contender for the national championship.
Ohio State, as you said, they destroyed Justin Fields with a big night with 3 TDs. I'm not sure about national championship contender, but I mean, college football playoff, I think they could be really good and make some damage. But there are other teams, including Oklahoma, Georgia, Clemson, and Alabama, who's in the SEC West. There's a battle right there to get that top spot and play against the
Something
SEC.
else to look at for the Buckeyes. You could see just the way they play, how hungry not only their coaching staff but their players are to win the national championship. And they recognize that in games like this is where national championships are won. How you have to progress through the season and get better each game. And I was really impressed with the way they played last night. Not so impressed by number 23 ranked Texas A&M's battle with Arkansas. They barely came out on top, 31-27. Did not play a great game. One of the bright spots though was Kellen Mond.
Yeah, Kellen Mond, he had a big game. Arkansas, they did hang with them. The quarterback went down trying to make a tackle after an interception that he threw. The backup quarterback, Ben Hill, came in and stepped up in his role, but he couldn't ultimately get the win. They were right there at the last second, but Arkansas comes up short as Texas A&M gets the win, and they might move up in the rankings, but Arkansas has some weak losses against San Jose State, but they did get that win against Colorado State.
This game against Texas A&M marks their 13th straight SEC loss, and it's a really tough time for the Arkansas football program right now. Another game in the SEC West was Alabama, second ranked in the nation, taking on Ole Miss in Mississippi. It was a 59-31 victory for Alabama, as we expected. However, at the end of the first quarter, the Running Rebels were up 10-7 over Alabama, which is kind of a shocker. And Alabama did let 31 points go by. Granted, 14 of them were in the fourth quarter when they probably had some backups in. But the Alabama defense so far this year has not looked up to par as other defenses in previous years for Alabama. And Tua Tagovailoa did have a great day. 6 touchdown passes. 26 for 36 through the air and over 400 yards passing. He had a great game. So did his receiver, Devontae Smith. He had 11 receptions, 274 yards, and an SEC record, 5 touchdown receptions.
Alabama, as he said, destroyed Ole Miss in that one. Probably should have been a bigger blowout, but Tua, the offense, and the defense likely was second, maybe third stringers in that part. But the next game, Auburn and Mississippi State, expected to be close. Auburn, they had a really hot start. Mississippi State couldn't get it rolling. Ultimately, Auburn destroyed them at their home turf, 56-23.
Another thing with that Auburn game, Bo Nix, the freshman quarterback who really showed up big in the Week 1 victory over Oregon. That was a big game, 21-16. They won in Week 1. But this game against Mississippi State, his offense put up 56 points, and I think he's really surpassed expectations there for the Auburn Tigers. He had 16 completions, over 300 yards passing, and 2 touchdowns. He had a great night, and they beat a pretty good Mississippi State team in the SEC West. And they're showing people that they are trying to contend with Alabama and LSU in the SEC West. And I think they have Alabama at home. If they could pull an upset there and maybe hope LSU drops a couple games, they could run the table and win the SEC. That would be a big surprise there. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself. We see that a couple of years ago when they beat Alabama and then lost in the SEC championship to Georgia. They haven't gotten over the hump as a football program, and I don't think this will be the year. The win against Oregon, I think, might be overhyped. Oregon is a pretty good Pac-12 team, but they're very inconsistent. I think that was an overhyped win. And Mississippi State is a good win, but they're expected to win, so I don't think we should be too high on the Tigers just yet. A team that not too many people are high on now, though, is Clemson. They won 21-20 at a 2-3 North Carolina Tar Heels team to get their third ACC win of the year. It was a very tight game, and they did not perform as well as anyone expected.
North Carolina was right there at the end. I don't fault them for this decision to go for 2. They could have had a better play call, but Clemson's defense, they did stop them there. If they got that 2-point conversion, number 1 would have fallen pretty hard, maybe down to 17, maybe. But North Carolina, they was this close to winning. They started off with 2 big wins against South Carolina and
they lost to Appalachian State last week.
Yeah.
That was a big loss. But UNC came into this game as historic underdogs. Somehow they stayed with Clemson, almost got the victory. Their quarterback, Sam Howell, freshman, did not expect to play this season. He had a great game, 144 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence, it was his second game this season without an interception. He's pretty much out of the Heisman race for now. But his wide receiver T. Higgins had a big game, 6 receptions for 129 yards and a touchdown. Something to look at for this Clemson team. Dabo Swinney said this after the game when he was being interviewed. He said that even though they're expected to win this game, he's proud of his team because in college football, you can be expected to win games, but if you get a win, it's a win. And every team struggles at some point in the season, and Clemson got scared in this one, almost lost, but they pull out the W, and that's just a really big confidence booster for them. And I think they're going to come out strong in the next few weeks. They have a really easy schedule in the next few games, and the rest of the ACC is not up to par with Clemson. They're head and shoulders above the ACC, and I think they're still going to be in the college football playoff. You can't overreact to games like this. This happens in college football. Clemson's going to stay strong. I think it will hurt them a bit, but Clemson's still a title contending team.
This did happen with last year when Clemson was home against Syracuse. That game was very close. Trevor Lawrence did not play well, but Clemson did eventually get the win, and they went on to win the national championship over Alabama. Let's see, maybe if they win out the rest of the season, they'll definitely be in the college football playoff, but we might be able to see them go all the way, depending on Alabama.
But maybe the only team that can contend, possibly with Clemson in the ACC, is Virginia. They don't play them in the regular season, but if the Cavaliers do end up winning the Coastal Division Championship, they will move on to the ACC Championship, presumably against Clemson. Virginia lost 35-20 in a tough game at Notre Dame. Notre Dame came out on top, but it was a pretty close game. It was a big game, and Notre Dame keeps their playoff hopes alive with that win. Now, my power rankings after Week 5, I have some movement. Clemson is not number 1 anymore. I don't want to overreact too much. Like I said, it happens in college football, but I'm going to drop them down to 3. I think there were holes and exploitations in their offense, and unless Trevor Lawrence can get it together, they're still a fantastic offense, one of the best in the nation. But defenses like Georgia and LSU will take advantage of this, and even Ohio State, and maybe poke some holes in this, and maybe Clemson might not be as strong as we thought they were. I'm going to drop Clemson to 3. Another team that I don't want to overreact too much to is the Buckeyes of Ohio State. I put them into the top 4 the first time this year inside the college football playoff bracket. I have them at the 4 spot, and that means I move Alabama up to 1 and Georgia at 2. I think Georgia's win against the Fighting Irish last week at home, it was an ugly win, 23-17, but I do believe that they're right up there with Alabama and Clemson for this championship. So it's Alabama, then Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, and outside looking in 5 and 6, Oklahoma is right there. It's tough to decide between Oklahoma and Ohio State, but I think Ohio State just shows the team effort as a whole. Jalen Hurts, though, has played phenomenal for Oklahoma. If Oklahoma can run the table and win the Big 12 championship, no question they're in the college football playoff. At 6, the final spot, I have the LSU Tigers. They had a big win a couple weeks ago at Texas, but their defense hasn't shown to be as stout as we all thought they were. Joe Burrow, though, their quarterback, has played phenomenal this year. And this leads to his Heisman race.
The Heisman race has been very close, especially with these 3 main quarterbacks. It's tough to place them between Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Fields, and Jalen Hurts, Ohio State, Alabama, and
Oklahoma.
Jalen Hurts transferred from Alabama. I think he reminds me mostly a lot of Kyler Murray, especially at Oklahoma wearing a number 1 jersey. But Justin Fields, he's done really well transferring from Georgia back to into Ohio State. He's done really good with that offense. And Tua Tagovailoa, as always, is dropping dimes downfield. And he had 6 touchdowns yesterday against Ole Miss. But I think it's tough to decide, but I'm going to put Tua at number 1, Justin Fields at number 2, and Jalen Hurts at number 3. I think Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields could be moving around the whole season, and even Tua Tagovailoa. But right outside of the playoff race, right outside of the Heisman race, is probably Joe Burrow, Jonathan Taylor, and
Joe Burrow and Jonathan Taylor have been phenomenal this year. Jonathan Taylor is clearly the best running back in college football right now, and I think he has a real shot to win the Heisman. That's it for sports broadcasting. Thank you for watching. Next week we'll be back with another football video. Florida and Auburn has been announced that that's where College Game Day is going to be. The Tigers of Auburn are going to travel to Gainesville in the Swamp to play Florida in what is a huge SEC game. If Florida does not win this, I don't think they have a chance at the college football playoff. They can still run the table and make the playoff. It would be very difficult, but I think they can do that. But that's it for today.